All right, welcome back, pilots. Breaking the radio silence with a flight with Corvus to discuss the new Lancaster B Mark III available in the VE Day Marathon going on right now in World of Warplanes. We're going to do a double bomber flight with the B-17G, which is probably the closest thing we have in-game to the Lancaster as it exists now. Would I be correct in saying so, Corvus?
I agree with that. I didn't have a direct comparison because I have only gone down the American Bomber line in my free-to-play North America account. Back in the olden days when the B-32 was available for purchase or grinding, I purchased it at that time and never did do the American the B-17D or B-17G.
Yeah.
I will tell you up front that I am not a giant fan of level bombers. Not a fan of bombers in particular, and really not a fan of level bombers. So that kind of colors my opinion here, but I'll try to be objective as we discuss bombering.
I mean, I certainly understand that some of the, it's not my wheelhouse either, but I have played the B-17 at altitude, tried to replicate that high that I think some pilots get by just having a casual 3,000 meter bombing session. And I get it, it's not something I'd want to do all the time, but I can certainly see the appeal for some people of playing that sort of mini game within the game.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with you. It's sometimes you just want to chill and you want to fly around and blow stuff up. And I have absolutely no problem at all with that. It's not my scene. I'd rather fly around and put guns on stuff to blow them up. But that's how I roll. And everybody's different, and frankly, there is a significant portion of the player base who likes bombering.
Right.
And I think that's great that Wargaming is offering them premium planes to fly. I'm not exactly sure that offering a UK bomber is great because there's only two bombers in the UK line, the Blenheim and this bomber.
Right.
And so what do you do about pilot and gunner training if you've only got two planes that you're cycling back and forth between?
Well, and the Blenheim operates somewhat differently, I think. I haven't played it a whole lot, but it does not seem to be the same style that the Lancaster and B-17 would be.
No, it isn't. It's a fast, single drop, short reload bomber that when you play it correctly, it absolutely cleans up. I have yet to do it consistently, but sometimes, I've got mine down to 16-second reload, right?
Yeah.
So I drop my bombs, turn around to get another good pass, and I'm reloaded. I'm ready to go, and I'm out of the cap. Having capped it, now I go to the next cap, push the W key and the space bar. It truly is. That's the way this bomber works.
Yeah.
And unless there's somebody on the other team that has their head on, you just go around and you win by superiority.
Yeah.
So and that's great. Except now, someone's got a trainer for that bomber in the Lancaster. So you need a few pilot skills and you need a few gunner skills for this plane. For your audience who doesn't know already, I go out and I buy the certs. I cert the plane out. I token out the getting specialization on the guy.
Right.
Loaded up with ultimate gear, ultimate equipment. In this particular case, because I felt that the plane was a bit slowish right out of the gate, I gave it more of a speed build than anything else.
Right.
And I kind of leaned into the speed build because everything is fast at Tier 6 in comparison.
Yeah.
And
that's true. Even the B-17 is a little faster, I think, than the Lancaster, isn't it?
I believe you're correct. The currently my cruise with ultimate polished skin and ultimate uprated engine is I get a 404 kilometer per hour cruise.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And
So it is a little faster than the B-17 then. I mean, not that I have ultimate equipment or specialization on, but mine's sitting at 288 right now. So
I have a 493 kilometer per hour boost speed, and it gets 650 in dive. But in all honesty, you're never going to get to 650 without
no.
boosting
Well, and
and
having that
dive.
higher cruise speed makes it easy to reach the max. I mean, the B-17 has a max of mine has a max of 507, but you know,
Ah,
having that higher
right,
cruise speed makes it easier to hit that and maintain it, right? So that's
right,
probably helpful.
right,
It'll be
and you
interesting to
can.
see when we spread out in these matches who reaches their zone first, right?
Right. It's a it does super cruise, by boost feathering you can super cruise it
Yeah.
okay and get in the mid 400s and keep it there and not burn up all your boost. But it's a little delicate, and so I don't bring along can of boost. I bring along engine restarter.
Yeah. Yep.
And because of uprated engine, I bring along a fire extinguisher. I haven't noticed it gets a lot of pilot or gunner crits.
Mm.
So, if it was eating gunner and pilot crits all the time, I might have mitigated my decision there somewhat.
Right.
Just a little bit. Oh,
I
by
would
the
say
way,
because I tend to default on first aid. It feels like my gunners are always dying. So
yeah, I didn't have much of a problem in this plane with that.
good.
But I will say this: the short range on the guns on this plane. Now, if you get within about 300 meters of the Lancaster, you better watch out because the guns will tear you up. But outside of that, you don't have too much to worry about. They'll tickle out to about 500 meters, but past that, you can fly around all you want, and the guns aren't going to touch you.
Yeah.
These guys are pea shooters, but if you get in close, you will get shredded.
Yeah.
You will get shredded.
Yeah, as opposed to the 700-meter range you have with the 50 cals on the U.S. line, right? So,
Right,
yeah,
right, and getting closer to B-17 is really not going to hurt you. Not going to hurt you more by getting closer. You're
right,
going to get hurt. What you're going to get hurt from what 600 meters in
right, yep,
is what's going to happen to you. This plane is not like that at all. It's like nothing, nothing, nothing. Hey, now you're getting it all. So
yep. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and hit the first match, and we can talk a little bit more about the bomber as we go through that first match. And I will battle us up, and we'll cut this part out so that you guys can just enjoy the match rather than the minute of waiting. So we'll see you on the other side of this. All right, we are back, folks, and we got one of my least favorite maps in the archipelago, and looks like we'll be playing against a flighted heavy light and two heavies. So there's a 110 P-30F and a Spitfire against our two bombers and an XFL-1. So how do you want to handle this? There's only one mining plant, so.
well,
But there's also two
I
heavies.
guess if we right. So I think I'm going to go to this near airfield here, and even though I'm not going to be able to take it, I'll be able to do some damage. The 5 groups of 3 bombs. It's actually pretty good if you're good with the speed and your targets are clustered together. You can do some pretty crazy, like multiple target bombing.
Nice.
That won't help the airfield, of course, because their bombers can't take an airfield by themselves,
Right.
without shooting down some ADA or enemy aircraft.
All right, we'll
Right.
level out here, 2,500. What normally altitude are you rolling with?
This plane's yellow altitude, high altitude starts at 2,000 meters. So I try to roll in the high in the 1900s somewhere,
Okay.
just so I can get. Well, it depends on what I'm doing. Like part of the problem with this, with my setup, is that I went sort of all in on speed. So I got aerodynamic pylons. Now people go, oh, well, what are you doing? You want to maximize your bomb load use. And it's
Right.
like, yes, but if I can't get there and I have a full load of bombs, have I really done anything?
Right.
And that was I was willing to accept that trade-off. I don't know if it's the right one.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I mean, it's probably for some of the bomber experts to weigh in on the comments, which is also a good time to remind you to thumbs up and like the video, and of course share it, especially in Warplanes community, so people can get a sense of what's going on here. Let's see if I can get any crit shots on the. Nope. It's gonna be too far away, I think. It's gonna gunship a little bit with the other two bombers here, but
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep. So far, we're ahead by 15 whole cap points. All right, I do see enemy heavy fighter coming in.
Uh-huh.
Way beneath. Goodness, I didn't even have to worry about him. All right, I'm going to make another run here, and now that I'm reloaded, let's see what we got. We may have an issue, though, with...
Yeah, see, here's where I wish that my reload was a little faster, but it would only be a little faster.
Right.
It wouldn't be a lot faster.
A lot faster, yep. Yep.
And I haven't sacrificed much reload for the speed.
Right.
So, unfortunately, this map is relatively small. And so that makes life a little bit more difficult. Oh my gosh, we've got nothing left at the plant. Everybody and their dog has already bombed everything.
Yep. I'm going to come over here to the other garrison and see if I can flip it on my next reload. The heavies are staying very low. I don't know if they're doing ground attack or what, but they're certainly not attempting to counter us. So I will say
that's a bad idea, by the way, folks. You want to...
Yeah, your heavy fighter was made to counter our heavy bombers.
Oh. Well, that sucked. All right, so what we need to do is we need to, before the plant delivers its big load, we need to
flip it.
Go. Yeah, I was working on a Spitfire.
Right on.
Uh-oh. But I've got a heavy fighter coming in on me.
Should I come back and try to flip the mining plant then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm staying outside the zone.
I'm going to go ahead and drop this bomb load here. What in the world? Alright, that's not going to work. I completely flipped this drop, and I'm not sure why. Get out of here.
Because you're not a bomber pilot?
I'm not a bomber pilot at all. You know what I can do is I can kill bot heavy fighters. There's a lot of guns. And maybe that'll help flip this zone.
Oops. I think I'm gonna get destroyed by this P-38F. But at the same time, he's wasting a ton of time. Outside of a zone. All right. Come on, buddy. Shoot me down. There we go. Man. Took him a while.
Alright, I'm setting up for a run here.
I've got 16 seconds until I'm back in, so. I'm actually super surprised about the. Oh, I hear your bombs going off over there. The question is, did you flip it or did you not flip it?
I don't think I flipped it.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, did we? Good.
You got it. You got it.
See, I am a bomber pilot.
There you go.
It's a lot of lining up angles is what I'm learning as I bomb. Trying to figure out the most efficient approach to the zone. So what is the most deadly arc on the Lancaster? If you got, if you're coming in an heavy fighter, what avenue do you not want to tank? If you are in a Lancaster, what avenue do you want the fighter to take to chew them up the most?
That you got to be a little bit off axis, but like right now, there's a tornado behind me that's shooting at me. That for whatever reason has decided that it's going to come right up on me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
I can almost gunship this guy here. Hang on. I'm going to try and gunship the bot bomber.
All right. So, of course, the stupid, right while I'm trying to come over here and do this, that stupid tornado decided to attack me, but didn't do much damage to me.
We are at Squall, I believe, right? Or is my display messed up?
We are at Squall, it's true.
All right. -1 bomber then on their side.
Nice.
Step it up. We're losing the battle.
Oh, I hit the wrong button there. Boom, boom, boom. Bombs over nothing.
That sounds like something I would do.
There you go.
Yeah, so one of the things I felt with this plane is that it wasn't quite sturdy enough, so I gave it, in its second airframe slot, I gave it reinforced airframe.
Okay.
I felt that was a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
See, now is when I wish this thing had a better reload time, because I do a second pass on this garrison because I didn't do a good enough job when I one passed it.
Right.
I just picked the targets that looked juicy instead of being strategic about picking which targets would give me the most points. So.
Yep. I get that. I struggle with that sometimes, the distinction, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a bomber pilot.
Yeah.
I like this for a level bomber. I like this plane because it's. Oh dear.
It's too late now. Well, as long as we capture one of these other zones, but I think it's too late even then. As long as they don't cap our zone in the next 15 seconds.
Right on.
We're good. It's going to be close, but we're going to get it. So, we'll take it. There we go. 800 to 776, folks. There you have it.
So, I mean, okay, I came out first of us, but that doesn't really mean anything. That's only means that I've flown the Lancaster a little bit, and I know how it does. I know what its limits are. I'm going back and forth between the aerodynamic pylons and giving up that speed boost to go for the reload, because I'm feeling more and more like I need the reload. But the reload is still pretty long natively in this plane.
Yeah, I mean, it's still shorter than the B-17, right?
I believe so. I'm going to have to, since we're back in the hangar.
Yeah.
Let me look and see what it is. So my reload is 73 seconds,
Okay, and that's with ultimate,
and
right?
that's with ultimate
Yeah.
aerodynamic pylons, which means that the bomb reload speed is minus 5.2%.
Okay.
So in other words, my native reload time is about 70 seconds.
Okay. And mine is currently 80, and I don't have any gear that affects that. I don't think so.
I, you know, I think that's one of the things that keeps this bomber from being overpowered at tier, is that the reload time is pretty long,
Mm-hmm.
and the plane is relatively vulnerable.
Right.
I put reinforced airframe on it, and it helps. I also have a protection expert on the gunner, so that I reduce the incoming fire. I also have what is that? It's not called protection. It's called defensive fire, is what it's
I'll
called.
say, yeah, I'm like looking, going, I don't remember that one.
Pro-
Yes, I have
protection
defensive
expert,
fire as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty critical for longevity.
right?
Yeah.
Protection expert is for the pilot. It increases your protection gear by 40%.
Yeah.
So that ends up that my my overall hit points on this plane is about 1950. So it's reasonably rugged.
Yeah.
It's reasonably fast for a level heavy bomber. Its reload time is speedier than a B-17.
Right.
So
And you have more hit points than I do by 300. I'm at 1600.
so the way I have mine kitted out, it's a reasonable, and I'm sure that if someone who's a bomber expert took this plane and kitted out exactly like I did, the exact same skills, I'm sure that they could do great work at tier 6.
Right. No,
I don't think it touches the meta at all,
right.
because it's
Yeah.
still
No,
a
it
heavy.
doesn't upset the apple cart for sure. Let me back up though. So, how many equipment slots are on the Lancaster?
5.
Yeah.
So
So
two
more than you would
airframe,
expect. They've continued the trend of giving premiums an extra equipment slot.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
So 2 airframe,
Right.
1 engine, 1 turret,
Mm-hmm.
and 1 bomb.
Yeah.
1 ordnance slot.
So a second airframe slot that the B-17 would
Right.
not have. Yeah. Yeah. Which is
So it would be my preference to have an additional engine slot, just
right.
to make it faster. But the way that Wargaming or Persia, I should make that distinction. I always want to make that distinction, because Persia Studios is separate. It's under the Wargaming umbrella, but it's separate from the rest of Wargaming. So
That's
I try
true.
to.
Although there is probably some question in the current day about whether Persia is really as autonomous as it was in the 1.x launch and in the 2.0 launch. It feels like it is not autonomous at all at this point.
I tend to agree with you, and we're getting into larger game issues here
Right.
that I think are reasonable to discuss. We both of us, you and I, have had discussions about the bombers' place in the game, especially high tier bombers, and how dominant they are at the higher tiers, especially 9 and 10.
Right.
And how to maybe mitigate that a little bit. But like I said, there's a large contingent of heavy bomber players who are there. They spend a lot of time playing, and they populate the servers. And if you ruin their experience, you diminish the player base.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so we. So when I talk to Persia about this, I say, hey, look, we want you to mitigate some of the bomber stuff, but we don't want you to absolutely take the nerf nuke to these bombers. We want you to use a scalpel and gently pare them back a little bit until we get to a point where it's a little more balanced. That's our ask.
Sure.
Is to pare them back a little bit.
And they are between a rock and a hard place. So, historically, for those who don't know, right, this was a question, the place of bombers in the game was a question that was floated around even in 1.x. And those of us who were test pilots like myself, who are in alpha and beta, and kind of the experienced clans, were very clear with Persia that bombers should not be in the game. And part of our argument in that was that bombers would be incredibly difficult to balance, given the way the game works. And Persia's response to that was not, okay, we need to pass on that for the sake of the game and the environment and everything else. Persia's response to that was to create an entirely new version of warplanes with an entirely new system of winning and losing and scoring points so that bombers could be included in the game. And unfortunately, we have been prescient in that wisdom that we tried to give in 1.x, and that bombers are very difficult to balance. And I acknowledge that. I think hopefully Persia would too. Your bombers tend to struggle with, either they're not strong enough to really contribute, they get shot down easily, they're frustrating to fly, or they're incredibly powerful. There's very few bombers that are kind of right in that middle space, and that's in part just because it's hard to get together, the fun of playing it and also the ability to contribute to a match. So
I'm going to make an argument here that might be somewhat controversial. And for all those folks out there listening to this who should absolutely like and subscribe and comment, make sure that you tell us how you feel about this. But I love the play style of the Soviet bombers from Tier 5 through Tier 9. Relatively low bomb load. They're medium fast. Some are faster than others. They're dive bomber style play. Some of them have fairly strong guns, defensive guns, but not overly so.
Right.
Pretty strong in the hands of those folks who know what they're doing with bombers.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the battle button, by the way, while you're doing this, just to go ahead and get us moving towards another match. But yeah, there is something fun about that sort of, it's not really dive bomber play, although it's sometimes called that.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bombers in the game is a Tier 6 Soviet PE2 M82.
Right.
It's very fast. It only has 4 bombs, and the bombs, you have to place them very well if you want to get action. And you're not going to be one passing a whole bunch of stuff, but you contribute, and you contribute a lot, and you can run away from a lot of stuff. Really, the only heavy fighters that can catch up to you, I mean, there's some that can be even with you, but that can catch up to you, are the P-38s and the XP-50.
Sure.
Those are the ones that can catch up to you. But, man, you can give them a run. You can run them halfway across the map.
Yeah, it may not be worth their while to chase you at some point, right? So.
Right. While you're reloading. And the reload is relatively short, so you can be running to the next cap.
Right.
Let's see. What do we got here? Okay, so we're bottom tier. This is where the Lancaster falls down a little bit. The Lancaster is not great bottom tier. On this particular map, since it's a 4 garrison map, I think that I'm gonna take the near garrison. By the way,
the one. Okay, I'm gonna go right.
Yeah, nearest me.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. As opposed to the one nearest you.
I was still typing in chat. I hadn't quite looked at the map to appreciate the difference there.
I got you. So yeah, it's I like I said, I enjoy this. I enjoy this plane, but it has vulnerabilities. Number one. Number two, it's slow.
Sure.
And so you're and defensively, it's not the greatest. So you're going to. It's going to be one of those planes where you're going to, if if you're really excited about doing great bomber work and you're excited about it because you play tier 9 and 10 bombers, this plane is not going to be great for you.
Right.
But at tier 6, in comparison to the other bombers, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I like playing, and I'm not a level bomber guy. I think it's partly because of the flexibility of the bomb load. The 5 drops of 3 make it so you can do stuff.
Yeah, it's more of what you want out of a bomber, which is actual bombing, right? So,
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of my gripes about the XB 42 is that it's 3 drops of 4 is kind of crappy. You can't really do stuff that you want to do, and I don't like it. Not one bit. So
there's a B-17 over here as well. Looks like time to gunship.
Gunship.
Or not, because they just stick the heavy fighter on me.
Well, you deserve it.
I do.
Well, you're one of those guys that deserves the heavy fighter action. So I'm over here at this far garrison, and I'm going to see what I can do about blowing up some stuff.
Well, I may lose to this one here. No, I finally got him off me. I am very low on HP, that's for sure. Let's see if I can sick somebody on him. Oh, I didn't say cover defense aircraft. That was funny. All right, bots. Got a mind of your own as usual.
Well, that's that bots are as bots do. You know, you can only do what you can with the bots. And
Yep. I'm down.
And
He came back.
it's and you're flying over there too, and I'm out over here where there's frankly nobody. I haven't seen but one enemy aircraft so far, and he was way down low, or she.
Yeah.
That should be,
We want to definitely cap these 4 outer sectors. We want to stay out of the middle if possible. In all honesty, right? Like. So.
Right. We're trying to do the it's a heavy ADA which is coming over here because it knew I was coming, of course, as the ADA do.
Yep.
They know. They see you when you're sleeping. Yeah. Sort of a inverse Santa Claus, really, if you want to come right down to it.
All right, so I'm going to retake this garrison next to us. Well, you rudder over and make sure I don't stall out here. Trying to wait for the zone timer to unlock. All right.
All right.
Here we go.
And so you're working on the garrison. What I might do is I might sacrifice myself by going over the air base and maybe taking out the repair pad.
Okay.
Because if they don't have a repair pad, well, that sucks for everybody.
Right.
Or I could go back to the garrisons and wait for them to turn. But I think I'm going to I'm going to play a little game. Except I'm not going to be reloaded by the time I get there, so I have to make a circle.
Right. That happens.
Like I said, I might go reinforced hardpoints. It might be the way to go because I do find myself trying to avoid things because I'm trying to reload.
Yeah, that's part of this is fine-tuning your bomber is finding that balance point between you arrive at the new zone with a new load of bombs, right? If your bomber's just faster than the reload, you get to the zone and have to wait. If your reload's faster than the bomber, you're waiting to get to the zone, right? You want to find some kind of balance between the two. Now I'm taking the other one. We're headed to that one.
That's interesting. Hey, how did we do that? That's a miracle.
We got some help from an A7M pilot, it looks like,
Well,
which we'll take.
I enjoy help. I like helpers.
Teammates assisting you. What game is this we're playing?
I know. I know. I'll give you props as a bomber pilot because generally, when it comes to piloting, you're better than I am at most of it, and here we are, two competent bomber pilots. Not outstanding, but competent. Actually doing stuff.
That's right.
All right.
We're trying to do stuff anyway.
Here we go. I've got the B-17 over there. I've hopefully sicked one of our players on him.
Okay.
I'm going to go over to the far garrison because I can.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great actually. All right.
We're
I'm
at squall
going to
line.
finish. Okay, good. We just got that one flipped. I'll go ahead and do a reload then.
Uh-oh. Well, that's of course. The very first thing I do is that the heavy fighter decides to come and see me.
I'm coming to you. Well, you're too far away. Yeah. Okay. Is this their bomber here?
I need to get out of the zone. I'm going to get out of the zone.
Yeah.
So that if I die, I don't
we are
die.
At squall, so.
Yep.
Use some of that unrealistic maneuvering that bombers have. And,
yeah, serious. No, that's the thing. Is that this thing has got supposedly a 30-second turn time. Guess what?
Yeah.
I just took out that heavy fighter because it came right into that area. Now I gotta stay away from the Reds while I heal up a little.
Yeah, and their bomber is over the airfield. I think their B-17 went to the corner zone. It's not going to matter. We're too far ahead at this point, I think. But,
well, I'm being chased by the other heavy fighter.
Oh well, here let me help. Pull up.
What? Aha! Nice work.
There we go.
Gun shipping. That's crazy.
We'll take
so
it.
Anyway, bottom tier, we actually did something.
Yeah.
Because we have 2 ground attack. So now we can talk about the meta a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We took arguably 2 relatively balanced airplanes because the mid-tier bombers are reasonably balanced. One might say they can be a little bit weak. In the hands of experts, they do pretty well, but you can say the same for pretty much any of the plane types in any of the classes.
Right.
You get a guy like I don't know if you remember LMG. He had a string of numbers after his name. LMG. He was a magnificent ground attack aircraft pilot. Man, that guy could do anything with a ground attack aircraft, and he was outstanding at it. And for whatever reason, he was always able to avoid getting shot down. He racked up FMOFs like nobody's business. He knew exactly where to hide, how to get where he was going, what caps he needed to get to. Oh my gosh, the dude was just magnificent. And he could make any ground attack aircraft do whatever he wanted. He could make a Stuka make you look silly. There are bomber pilots that can do that. They can go out, and they don't need a whole lot of pilot skills. They don't need all the best kit. They just know what to do with their equipment. And in the mid tiers, the bomber pilots need to know what they're doing, because otherwise they're not going to get anything done.
Right.
Now let me look at what we've got over here. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, you know what? they were flying low altitude stuff.
Right. Yeah.
They weren't. They were going to be able to retain the middle, but that's all they were going to be able to do.
Yeah.
It
The
was
reach was not very good with a Spitfire and a P-39. Right. Their B-17 was chugging along. I mean, he capped 4 zones. He was definitely trying his hardest.
right.
But yeah.
Right. So I mean, it was he was in the unfortunate position and not have somebody else helping him cap.
Right.
He just had a couple of guys spinning in the middle, and blending at the airbase is great, but it's not a winning strategy when you've got ground pounders going around the edges and capping stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
and the Lancaster, I'm gonna be honest with you. $42. I think it's $42 to get the certs.
Right.
I'm even for a non-bomber pilot, I'm going to go ahead and say $42 is not a bad expenditure
Okay.
for a mid-tier bomber. The Lancaster does stuff, and you can make it do things. It's got a nice flexible bomb load. It's if you make it fast, it's fast enough. And again, I'm going to experiment a little bit with the ultimate hardened hard points, because I think the reload needs to be a little bit shorter. But
right.
what am I going to get it to? 60 seconds maybe.
Yeah.
Its native is 70. Currently it's 73. And I'm speedy, so I can actually outrun some stuff, like light fighters, or especially turn fighters who try to climb up and get me.
Yeah, with that
or
combination of altitude and a little bit of speed, right? Yeah.
Right. And on the bigger maps, being able to get around is pretty important. I'm happy to loiter a little bit while it reloads, but how much am I willing to loiter?
Right.
Like, how much speed am I willing to trade off? So, you know what? Just for grins, because I've got a boatload of tokens, I'm gonna put on strength and hard points.
Okay.
And currently, I'm gonna put on some advanced strength and hard points.
All right.
And I'm gonna bump it by giving it an enhance, because I've got parts and parts and parts. There we go. Okay, so it's ultimate, strength, and hard points. And my new, okay, so previously my cruise speed was 404 kilometers per hour. Now it has dropped 14 kilometers per hour to 390.
Okay.
My boost speed was 493. Now it's 476. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are still reasonable, right? The grand scheme of the meta.
Right. Well, my resupply time has dropped to 60 seconds.
Okay, now we're talking. Yeah, let's give that a shot for sure.
And my, the bombs and rockets had a score. Before it was like 88.
Right, that's where mine's at. Yeah.
Now it's 102.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I would suggest that I'm gonna see about let's see here. Come on now. So I've got cruise speed and maximum with boost are my perks. So I got 1% plus 1% maximum speed with boost, plus 1% cruise speed. Now I got plus 5% bombing accuracy. So I've reassembled this.
Right. Okay.
And now let's see where this takes us.
Okay. Sounds good. Into the wild blue yonder, most likely.
Might as well, right? Because I mean, this is for the community.
Yeah,
I always tell folks, I buy them so you don't have to.
that's right.
And in this particular case, it's a fun plane. And again, it's fun because it has a flexible bomb load. It gets to where it's going. If you can sucker in somebody into that death zone in the back, where you get 3 turrets in the same place, and it's not easy to do. You have to hold it's like 5 degrees where all 3 of these guys can get on a plane.
Right.
If you can get all 3 of them on there, their DPS just disappears.
Right.
I mean, their hit points just disappear.
This will be interesting since it's our 3 bombers against a flighted bomber and P-40 and then specialized Spitfire.
Huh.
So we'll see how this goes. Where are you going to hit first?
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to the FAR Air Base at the northwest corner.
Okay.
I'm going to let you drop across the... maybe I'm changing my mind. Maybe I'm going to go to the center.
It's going to be tough. I'm sure the P-40 is going to make your life miserable there. So, something to think about.
Well, it'll be payback for all the times where my P-40 made somebody else's life miserable. I deserve whatever I get.
All right.
And I'm, it's a little bit of a laugh, but I have in the past been taken especially after the heavy machine gun buff. I abused the hell out of the P-40 after the heavy machine gun buff because I just needed to, I don't know, assert my authority or something. I don't know what the hell was going on. Whoops.
I'm doing something I don't normally do and wouldn't normally recommend. I split my bomb load out here, but I see that our bots are already almost taking the zone. I wanted to go ahead and get over here and get out ahead of the enemy and see if I couldn't contribute with a run here. And we are indeed only 20 points for taking this. There we go. All right. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and do a reload and wiggle around to their garrison.
Well, I am dismayed by my gun's work right now. I'm trying to avoid this multi-roll, and it is absolutely, my guns are not doing anything to it.
Range? Are we dealing with vertical? Because there is compression. We were talking about that on Discord, by the way, the vertical compression in the game. So 500 meters straight, or 300 meters straight down is not actually, I mean, that's, it's different.
No, I didn't get out of the zone. Well, it's a P-47B.
Oh, yeah.
So the Bravo's pretty good, and you got to watch out for it.
Yeah, the N, I think, starts to suffer a little bit in the meta.
But it was up high, which gripes me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when the bots do that, they can get away with it. But don't worry, folks. They're not cheating at all. They're programmed exactly like you and I.
Right, and here it comes, like, directly at me.
Yeah.
Like, it knew where I was going to spawn. And came directly for me, even though I spawned across the map.
This is where an experienced bomber pilot would have lined up their attack run better than what I have done here. So we're just going to have to wing the bomber over.
Yes, that's always the thing, is that the setting up your attack run is everything.
Yep. And I'm going to have to loop around, I think, so I can catch these 2 targets real fast. Speed up and get some distance and juice here.
Of course, the ADA just absolutely, totally just zapped me. Oh, you're going to go that way. Okay.
Nope, nope, nope. I don't want that one. I want this one. Make sure it's firing at the wrong plane.
Oh. Heavy fighter.
Got one
It's a
over
problem
here as well.
with smaller maps. Yeah, I should be lighting this guy up, and unfortunately it's just not.
Yep.
My goodness. Well, I finally did get him, but
I'm a little stunned that the matchmaker put 3 bombers on our team. You'd think the Spitfire would have been over here, and the other B-17 would have been over there. It had 2 bombers on each team, right? That would have made more sense.
made sense. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, although it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it seems as though we're. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was not shocked by that at all. That bomb a little bit. All right, not great. But, I mean, you got a P-40, which is the strongest light fighter of this tier, hands down. Tier 5, hands down.
Right.
You got a specialized speed bomber, right? And I'm gonna go down here as well, unfortunately. And then a Spitfire, which can hold the center zone while the speed bomber and the P-40 race around the map, flipping things. And so we're not able to do that, of course. This gives me a good chance, though, to look at your plane. Give the viewers a little look at it. You have Britannia engine covers there. It's very interesting.
Yeah, came with the plane.
Very nice.
All right, I'm going to get shot down. So I'm going to take whoever is following me. I'm going to just go ahead and let them. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Don't run into a bomber.
The P-82 is right below me. I don't think I could catch him, or I would gunship him.
What surprises me really the most about this particular thing is that we have 2 bombers, and we should be able to go around the map and just do stuff. But unfortunately, we just have not been able to do so.
Well, this is one of those areas where I missed that one too. One, I'm clearly not bombing very well here, but this is one of the areas where the bombers are not that controlling presence. They do not have the influence over the map that, say, a P-40 does, or a P-38L, or a P-38F, right? They can contribute, right, but in a sort of peripheral fashion. And then when you get to Tier 10, the meta is flipped. And at times in the game's life, Tier 8, the meta has been flipped in that sense as well. I think it's a little more balanced now, but it's still certainly a heavy fighter bomber advantage, even at Tier 8, if you've got a B-29 and a P-61, say, working together. So, but 6 is not there, and we just know this too. We have not encountered this, which I think is interesting. But I assumed we would have at least one match facing off against the new 410, the Key 102 with the new pilot, P-38J with the new pilot, P-38L specialized, regular 410 specialized, right? I truly expected us to see more of that heavy fighter meta at Tier 6, and maybe people just haven't embraced it, or maybe there's a feeling that things are a little different. So, but
right.
There you go.
I will say this, that even though I'll tell this to your audience, even though the turn time is near on 30 seconds, the rudder authority on the Lancaster is outstanding.
Right.
So you can rudder around really well, and especially a rudder flip turn
Okay.
is possible, which
Yep.
it's a bomber and shouldn't be possible, but that's a come on, Persia. Let's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
had this discussion before, but for those folks who are going to play it, and I suggest that you. I mean, there's plenty of time left to grind it. The grind is relatively easy. I'd say go ahead and grind it. There could be a couple of things you might want to sort out, but it'll be it's a reasonably easy grind to do. If you don't want to spend the time on the grind, gosh, $42, not bad.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Well, and it's
It,
props to them for making it a historical comeback here, for moving to Lancaster, clearly a historical aircraft, and the Bearcat, which we now know we're going to get later this summer. Bringing back that historicity to those iconic planes that people are going to want, even if it's just to sit in the hangar, to have that plane there and take it out occasionally. So.
right.
I'm going to suggest, by the way, that we move to tier 6 heavies, just as the counterpunch to show people kind of what you would do against these aircraft. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea, and because I'm not into curb stomping, I'm gonna pick this particular guy.
Oh yeah. Well, what if if you don't want to curb stomp, we could just could mossy it up.
Absolutely. Oh, you're gonna take an even worse version.
Yeah.
Well, it's not true. It does okay. It does okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure what people want to see us get curb stomped. So I will take the L and just see what I can do. But yeah.
As a heavy fighter pilot, I always talk the mosquito down. But you know what? When you carry along the bombs, it carries the bombs internally, so you don't suffer a speed penalty. You carry along the bombs, it does some pretty good groundwork, and if you're not as stupid, it does pretty good air work too.
Right.
So I enjoy it. I think we still should talk a little bit about bombers. And in the if you add bombers to tier 6, you're probably not going to disturb the meta too much, because we are going to fly the meta at tier 6. The meta is heavy fighters, period.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you fly the lowly Mosquito, there have been plenty of battles where I've gone out and I've carried the team in the Mosquito because it's fast.
Yeah,
it has
you
a
cap around the map.
reasonable.
It's essentially a multi-role, capable multi-role.
Yes.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. It's a better version of the Beaufighter.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to poo-poo it and talk it down. I like it now. And maybe that's because I have more experience playing the game, or maybe it's because I've learned to embrace what is that the difficulties of each individual plane. And I'll tell you, I don't like going out and flying the KI-102 and the P-38L and just absolutely ripping apart opponents. It feels wrong.
Right.
It feels like seal clubbing, and I prefer to have a challenge. I'm gonna go over to this command center and see if I can't solo it.
I will work on the airfield then, and then maybe counter cap the command center. We'll see.
Counter cap, he says.
It's true that we've talked about, one of the things we've talked about is the lack of a strong light fighter at tier 6. The Mustang 1 may be the closest we've got, but it's gimped by very very slow turn time, right?
Yes.
I mean, not a turn time, boost time. Very low boost time.
Boost time. Yeah.
That's what I get for thinking and talking at the same time.
Yes, how dare you?
Yeah, all right.
Wow. I came into the zone and attracted the
Wrong sort of crowd.
the ire of the of both the. Oh, there we go. Of the high altitude AA and the ADA. Both of them, it's like they were making attack runs on me like crazy,
Right.
which is pretty funny.
Sometimes it does feel like you become this bizarrely cursed AA magnet, no matter what. So I play a little bit of Tarkov, and there's a status in the game called tagged and cursed, like that. Sometimes the game assigns to you when you kill one of the AI, where the AI just swarm you from all over the map, and it's somewhat humorous to have that happen. It feels like AA tags you and curses you at times in this game.
He is gonna chase me. What are you, stupid? Don't do that. Don't chase me. It's a bad idea. You're in a light fighter. I mean, I try to be nice to the folks on the other team, especially when we've got a lead, because I don't want folks to feel like, oh well, these guys came out and they just stomped all over us, and it was a terrible time, and I hated every second of it.
Yeah, there is something to be said for not overplaying your hand in the game. With the community as small as it is, that's certainly something that I would see as a good trait to have in a pilot who wants the game to be around for a long time. If you are, just random example, not to point out anyone in particular,
right.
Although those of you who've been watching the video understand that, if you were to say only play the game in a flight and only play, the strongest planes at tier, it would be hard for anyone to consider you a positive aspect of the community. First of all, for sure. And it would also be hard to evaluate if you're actually a decent pilot. There would be questions about your skills at that point as well, right? So.
That was weird.
Oh, what did the game do to you this time after tagging you and cursing you?
Well, I had a bow fighter in my sights and was lighting it up with my 20s, and it just absolutely wouldn't do anything. I mean, the bar did not go down at all, and I was concerned that I was, because I heard the hits.
Right.
Audible hits are how you can tell that you've actually done it.
As long as the server isn't desynced, that's how you can tell.
Right. Yes. And so I was minorly concerned that I was having troubles. And I was looking at my ping and also looking at my frames per second. By the way, on my potato computer, I've played it like this for forever. I've got about 40 frames per second.
Right. Not great in the grand scheme of computer gaming.
No. On my new computer that I just built, I have it's more like 140, because I've got a 470 Ti, 470 Super that I'm running.
NVIDIA's that's a solid 70 series has always been the sweet spot for performance. 60 is the sweet spot for cost. But,
yes. All right. Needs to decided he's not going to follow me this time, which is a great choice. And I want folks to enjoy the game. I want folks to move up the tiers without feeling
That the world is out to get them.
Yeah, because it's hard. This game is hard enough, right?
Yeah, and I've got some personal insight into that. So my brother has returned to the game after a very long absence. You know, got interested in running up the Corsair line, maybe picking up that new premium when it returns to sales, right, in the next year here.
The tier 7 guy, the XF.
Yeah, that we love so much and we praised so much, right, for getting things right.
Right.
So there is that, and you know, we've had a devil of a time at tier 6, just kind of keeping curb stompers at bay, right?
Right.
It feels there's been a couple of nights where it's just been super frustrating for him, to the point where he's questioned, like, you know, why am I doing this? Is it worth the fun from the game to have to deal with the frustration that goes along with this? So I certainly understand.
Is he flying the Corsair line?
Yes.
Or is he? Yeah. So there's an argument. Because of the dominance of fighters at tier,
right?
Flying any multi-role at tier 6 is going to be problematic.
Right.
Arguably, let's make the argument. Arguably, the Tornado is good enough to not have to put up with the shenanigans of many of the heavy fighters at tier.
Right.
But it still does, right? Because you're still in the same position where everything's faster than you, has better guns than you.
Right.
Right? And the heavy fighters just rule the roost at tier 6. And if you're a heavy fighter player, tier 6 is that's awesome. We love tier 6, right?
Right.
It's magnificent. So here you and I are just flying around, and this is the result we get, right? So
yeah, I mean, try casually getting that result in a tier 6 Corsair, right? Like,
right, not
difficult.
It's not going to happen.
There's more predators for the Corsair than there are for the P38L, right?
Yes.
And that's really, you know, game balance is about having a rock paper scissors of having some prey and having some predators, right? And then also having some wiggle room where the predator doesn't have a 100% chance of knocking you down, and the prey doesn't have a 100% chance, or doesn't have a 0% chance of escaping, right? And that balance, that rock paper scissors, is something that warplanes has struggled with from the very beginning. And part of it's the nature of aerial combat and doing that, but part of it's just, you know, struggling with balance in the game. So.
And that's our argument. And in fact, Hunter and I have had this discussion about how maybe tier 6, the heavy fighters need to be turned down a little bit. You know, let's not go crazy buffing the heavy fighters at tier 6 by giving them special pilots or adding more heavy fighters with great big cannons. You know, that's
we've talked about, you know, one of the other things that, you know, some of the veteran pilots talked about is, you know, leave the tier 6 heavies alone, but, you know, maybe give the light fighters all, you know, a couple 100 meters of altitude, or maybe 2 more seconds of boost time. Maybe do a buff on the heavy machine guns for the other nations outside of the U.S. You know, kind of give a little more viability, a little more of that wiggle room in the paper rock scissors, without it being automatic. So, for sure.
And so one of my and when we were talking about this earlier, one of my arguments was to add another Mustang to the game. Mm-hmm. And people went, "What do you mean? There's a ton of Mustangs." No, not this Mustang. This Mustang is the A36 Apache.
Right.
And instead of having only 4 HMGs. It has 6 HMGs,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have bombs.
I mean, the other way around, right? It only has 4, not 6.
No, it's got 6.
Oh, it
It's
does
got
have
2
6.
cowl.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 cowl and 4 wing.
Okay.
So historically, that's what it had.
Right.
And it takes bombs.
Right.
And I would think that 2 250-pound bombs would be adequate. But if you really wanted to juice it, give it 2 500-pound bombs.
I mean, you're talking about putting the P40 at tier 6 is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, that's about it. It would be slightly slower than the Tech Tree Mustang, and it would have less altitude.
Right.
But it would be a multi-role, and because a lot of the heavy fighter players play down in that altitude region, this would be a counter.
Right.
This would be a hard counter to all of the heavy fighters at tier.
Yeah, it would also probably be a counter to like some of the other multi-roles, though.
It sure would be.
Yeah. Which are already struggling. So, as we've said,
and the Tornado would lose its specialness.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the king of the hill anymore on the multi roles.
Right.
So you're right. It would hurt, but it would be a multi role, and it would be a Mustang, and it would be a historical plane in the game.
Right.
And so now that we've moved to a wish list, now we can talk about maybe the Bearcat.
Yeah, let's wrap up with the Bearcat. Let's make that the last. And you know, folks, Corvus is of course going to do a Bearcat review. Probably with Hunter, I think, over the summer because of my schedule. But he will definitely be doing one. Fear not.
I am so excited about the Bearcat. I can't tell you how much. So that was one of the very first World War II-ish aircraft I ever saw in real life. And it was at an air show when I was, I think, 6 years old. I went to Seattle and went to Boeing Field, and they had a Bearcat there. And this was in the days where folks didn't actually care if you were right up close when they started it up.
Right.
And I remember I was on my dad's shoulders, and we weren't 20 yards away from this aircraft when they lit it up.
Right.
And it gave me that particular plane gave me my love of aviation.
Cool.
I absolutely needed to be a pilot, and I absolutely wanted to fly fighter aircraft, and I wanted to fly this one because the Bearcat was absolutely stunning.
Right.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. And
folks, while he's saying that, they're going to be like, well, the screen just went black. I'm pulling up the 3D model of the Bearcat because we have that now. So just be patient while it's. I know it looks like a black screen, and it's like, what the heck just happened? I'm showing you the Bearcat model. It's all good.
Yeah, it's in the game. I think they've put it in the. That's true that this last update it actually exists in the game, or have they just told us it's in the game? I can't remember.
We have a 3D model. We have stats. All that's available to us. We even have the paint jobs. I'm cycling through base paint job, desert paint job, marine paint job, winter paint job, none of which are historical, by the way, which is the kind of the head scratcher if you're going to put a historical plane like this in. And then what looks to be the woodland, and then what looks to be the special camouflage that'll come with it, which is sort of a brown and red. It's very bizarre.
No, it should be the all blue navy, late 40s, early 50s.
Right. That camouflage doesn't exist in the game right now.
Right.
So.
And it should. That should be the camouflage that comes along with the plane.
Completely agree.
And I'm excited because the plane in real life was all engine and was nimble and had a great climb rate, and hopefully Persia, and I'm crossing my fingers, and man, Eugene, if you're listening to this, Eugene, please make this plane fast and nimble. I know they're making it. I'm pretty sure they're making it a multi-roll. I'm pretty sure.
It is a multi-roll. It is not fast and it is not nimble.
My tears are coming out a little bit right now because I want it to be fast and I want it to be nimble.
It's
I
also
know
a
that
tier
they-
7, which is not, does not fit within the historical realm that we're really talking about for the game. It's kind of interesting to think about.
It should be a tier 8 plane, and it should be, in my mind, a rival for the Spit 14. I mean, like a direct rival as far as turn time, speed, that kind of thing. That it should be a light fighter, but I get it. It's decisions do have to be made, but uh, uh, even if I'm disappointed by its performance, I am going to buy it, and I am going to grind it in my free-to-play accounts
Sure.
because I have to have it in my hangar. Even if I don't have any other plane in my hangar, I have to have the Bearcat. So there you have it, folks.
There you go.
If you think that I'm biased, you're right. I am 100% biased. I want it. I want it. That's it. Whatever price it is, it's worth buying. That's where I'm at right now. I promise you all, I will try to be very objective about my review of it, what it can do well, what it can't do well, where it's vulnerable, where it shines, so that you can make an informed decision before you either embark on the grind or open up your wallet.
Yep.
H0,
Okay.
thank you for having me on. I very much appreciate playing with you.
Of course. Happy to have you,
And-
and glad we got to chop it up today. Hopefully we'll see some Lancasters in the air as the weeks go on here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Viewers, have a great night. Good luck in your gameplay, your search for the Lancaster, or just your fun times. May you not run across any sweaties who ruin your evening or your grind. May it be fun for you. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.